The night sky over Earth looked calm, but something strange moved far beyond the stars. No one on the planet could feel it, no one could hear it, but the universe had already decided that Earth's long peace was about to end. For 200 years, humans had chosen harmony instead of war. They destroyed their last weapon fleets, built peaceful ships, and became one of the quiet powers of the galaxy. Other species respected them, some feared them, but humans never raised a hand against anyone. They believed peace was the only way forward. But peace is dangerous when your enemy does not want it. At the edge of the solar system, a small Earth survey ship drifted near the Kuiper Belt. Inside, 3 crew members were busy scanning a strange red light moving toward them. The captain, Mara Solis, stood with her hands tight on the console. The signal was old, broken, and felt almost alive. She tried to decode it again and again, but every time the result was the same, a single distorted message repeating in a slow, deep voice. "Your peace ends today." The crew grew silent. No one knew whose voice it was or what species it belonged to. No one knew why the message felt angry, almost hateful. Mara tried to send the information back to Earth, but her system froze. Red symbols flashed across every screen. The ship shook like a beast had grabbed it. Then everything went dark. The red message spoke one last time, and the ship disappeared from all Earth networks. Back on Earth, Peace Council members gathered in a large circular chamber. They were used to discussions, not emergencies, and most had never lived through a real threat. When Mara's last partial transmission arrived, confusion filled the room. Some believed it was a malfunction. Others said it was a prank from a far-off colony. But one man did not smile, did not relax, and did not doubt the danger. Admiral Ryan Holt, the only soldier awake from the old war era, stood at the edge of the chamber. He had lived before peace. He had seen what real enemies look like. When he heard the message, he said only 7 words, "This is not a warning. It is a promise." As he spoke, every satellite above Earth suddenly flickered. For 5 seconds, the whole planet lost connection with space. When the screens came back, the Peace Council gasped. 3 Earth peace ships, sent only to watch the stars, now floated in pieces. They were cut clean, as if sliced by invisible blades. There were no distress calls, no escape pods, no signs of battle. Just destruction in perfect silence. Earth had not fired a weapon in 2 centuries. But someone had fired at them. The message arrived again, now clearer and louder. The voice carried no emotion, no mercy. It simply repeated the same line, "Surrender, or vanish." Council members felt a chill in their bones. The voice was not asking. It was deciding. Around the world, people started to sense something was wrong. News channels glowed with rumors about missing ships. Students looked up at the sky during late classes. Pilots felt their instruments twitch. But only a few knew the truth. The enemy had arrived. And Earth was not ready. Ryan Holt walked out of the council chamber and stepped into an old elevator that took him 50 floors underground. When the doors opened, bright white lights revealed a place humans had forgotten existed. A massive hall filled with silent machines, hidden for centuries under the surface. The Defender Protocol. The project no one talked about. The project created for one purpose only: protect Earth when peace fails. Rows of steel-blue ships rested quietly, as if sleeping. Their engines were old but powerful. Their armor was dark and heavy. They were not peace vessels. They were built for survival. They were built for war. Ryan brushed his hand across the metal of the nearest ship. It felt cold, like touching a ghost from the past. He whispered, "Looks like your rest is over." Far from Earth, in the shadow of a dying star, the Real enemy moved. The Vorshak Dominion, a brutal species that believed strength was the only truth, watched Earth with cold eyes. Their leader, a massive creature with silver plates across his jaw, studied human history. He saw their peace. He saw their silence. And he made a fatal mistake. He believed humans had become weak. He believed humans feared war. He believed they would surrender without a fight. Back on Earth, the skies started to change. A strange red shimmer appeared around the edge of the moon. It bent the light, twisted it, and then broke open like cracked glass. Through the crack, the first Vorshak warship entered. It was huge, shaped like a claw opening toward the planet. It made no sound. It simply watched Earth, and prepared to strike. Across the world, alarms echoed for the first time in 200 years. People came out of their homes, staring at the sky in fear and confusion. But one thing was clear: peace was over. The enemy had forced Earth into a battle they could not escape. And Earth, the quiet planet that only wanted peace, finally remembered something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans do not start wars. But when someone pushes them into one, they do not lose. The first strike was only the beginning. Humans realized quickly that the Vorshak did not attack randomly. Every move was calculated, precise, and deadly. Earth's satellites sent images back to the Council. Enormous red ships hovered in orbit, their surfaces covered in strange energy spikes that pulsed like living veins. Cities below trembled as electromagnetic pulses disrupted communications. Panic started to spread, but the Council tried to maintain calm. They had 200 years of peace to guide them, but none of that experience prepared them for an enemy that did not negotiate. Admiral Ryan Holt moved swiftly through the underground hall of the Defender Protocol. The ships were ancient, yet built for speed and firepower that modern Earth technology could only dream of. Engineers and former pilots, now in their 70s, ran past him, bringing systems online that hadn't been touched for decades. "We've been preparing for this," Holt said quietly, "even if we didn't know it." His eyes glowed with the old fire that had led humans through countless wars centuries ago. Outside the city, a small reconnaissance team launched in stealth fighters. Their mission was simple: find the enemy mothership and gather any data they could before the Vorshak noticed them. Captain Mara Solis led the mission, her nerves taut but controlled. The sky was alive with red light, the Vorshak warships scanning every corner of space. Mara's team flew silently, shadows against the blood-colored glow, until they saw it. The Vorshak flagship, massive and alien, with surfaces that seemed to absorb light. It moved with a terrifying intelligence, scanning for weaknesses that didn't exist, except for humans themselves. Inside the flagship, the Vorshak commander, a towering creature with silver plates over its head and glowing eyes, studied Earth's small resistance. "They are weak. They will surrender," it said in a deep, resonant voice. But its subordinates hesitated. The records of humans were full of unpredictability. Every time the Vorshak had faced humanity before, they had miscalculated. The commander's anger grew. "Then we will force them," it snapped. And outside, hundreds of smaller ships detached from the flagship, moving toward Earth like a storm. Back on Earth, Ryan Holt coordinated defense efforts. The humans did not panic. They activated old shields, dug hidden bunkers, and moved civilians to safety zones. The first attacks were devastating. Entire orbital stations were destroyed, and cities below suffered blackouts. But humans had prepared more than anyone could imagine. Underground bunkers were equipped with hidden communication channels, old defense drones were reactivated, and secret weapon caches were deployed. Humans fought not for conquest, not for revenge, but for survival. Every soldier, every civilian, every pilot knew one thing: if Earth falls, humanity ends. The first human strike hit harder than expected. Mara's team managed to approach the Vorshak flagship without being detected, using cloaking techniques from decades-old technology. They released drones that attached to the hull, capturing data on the ship's systems. Every moment was dangerous. The Vorshak sensors scanned constantly, but the humans moved like shadows, fast and silent. Then, just when it seemed the mission might succeed, the flagship shifted. Mara felt the sudden pull of gravity waves that threw her fighter off course. Red energy lashes struck around her. The Vorshak had detected something, perhaps intelligence, perhaps instinct. Ryan Holt knew the stakes. He ordered all ships in underground hangars to deploy. "This is no longer a test. This is survival. Every weapon we have, every trick we've hidden, it is time." The skies above Earth lit up with fire as humans launched a counterattack. Red Vorshak beams sliced through darkness, but human ships darted between them, striking with precision. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy would see what peace-loving humans were capable of when forced into war. And somewhere in the distance, beyond the first lines of battle, the Vorshak commander realized a terrible truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were unpredictable. Humans fought for life, for survival, and for each other. They did not surrender easily. They had chosen peace, yes, but when pushed, they became something the galaxy had almost forgotten: unstoppable. The first day of the war ended in chaos, but not defeat. Humans retreated strategically, luring Vorshak ships into traps they had laid long ago. Every loss was calculated, every counterattack precise. The Vorshak underestimated them, as so many before had. And on Earth, in the underground halls of the Defender Protocol, Ryan Holt allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had been forced into battle, but for the first time in centuries, the fire of survival burned brighter than fear. The war had begun. The galaxy would remember Earth once again, not as a planet of peace, but as a planet that refuses to surrender, no matter the cost. The first night of the battle left Earth tense, but humans were far from defeated. Underground, in the hidden halls of the Defender Protocol, Admiral Ryan Holt moved among the fleets. The ships were old, built in the last century of human wars, but they were strong and fast. Humans had never shown their full power to the galaxy. They did not need to. Peace had kept them hidden, but now it was time to awaken. Ryan walked past rows of sleeping vessels, each one covered in dust yet perfectly maintained. Engineers worked quickly, repairing old engines and weapons that had not been used for 200 years. They called them relics, but in reality, they were the planet's secret. Every corner of Earth had been prepared for this day, though no one had dared to hope it would come. Civilian scientists, engineers, and retired soldiers moved together, their combined knowledge creating a quiet rhythm of urgency. Every second mattered. Above the Earth, the Vorshak fleet had grown. Their massive warships formed a red storm in orbit, ready to crush any resistance. Sensors scanned the planet constantly, looking for weaknesses. They expected humans to panic, to flee, to surrender. But humans had never been predictable. From hidden bunkers and secret stations, the Defender Protocol activated the first wave of human counterattack. The sky lit with streaks of fire as old ships, once thought abandoned, launched silently into orbit. Captain Mara Solis led one of the first squadrons. Her fighters glowed faintly with cloaking energy, moving like shadows against the crimson storm of the Vorshak. The humans' mission was not to destroy. They could not match the Vorshak in numbers yet, but to learn, to strike precisely, and to survive. Mara's heart pounded, but she felt a calm certainty. Her people had chosen peace, yes, but when forced, they did not falter. On the Vorshak flagship, the commander grew impatient. His eyes glowed like molten silver as he studied the human ships darting between the massive energy beams. "Why do they not fear?" he growled to his subordinates. "They should run. They should surrender." But the answer was impossible to see. Humans did not obey fear. They obeyed survival, and survival made them dangerous. Every maneuver they made was clever, unpredictable, and deadly in its simplicity. The first skirmishes proved this. Human ships struck where the Vorshak expected nothing, sending small, precise blasts to disable weapon systems. They avoided full confrontation, retreating quickly when the enemy retaliated. Mara watched one of her comrades pull off a near-impossible escape, flipping her ship through a void and vanishing into the shadow of a planet. Small victories, yes, but each one proved a point. Humans were not weak. Humans were hidden predators, patient, intelligent, and ready. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Ryan Holt activated the next phase of the plan. From beneath the oceans, massive hidden defense platforms emerged. Large ships, previously thought to be research stations, moved into strategic positions. Energy shields rose around major cities, protecting millions. Humans were not only defending, they were preparing for the moment they could strike back fully. The Vorshak had assumed peace meant helplessness, but humans had only waited, learned, and planned. Even civilians played their part. Communication networks, once disrupted by Vorshak interference, had secret backup channels. Scientists, doctors and engineers guided pilots through unseen paths in orbit, offering critical data from ground stations. Humans, once divided by distance and language, acted as one. It was not just technology that made them strong. It was the unity that Vorshak could not understand. Then the true nature of human resistance became clear. Mara and her squadron found the Vorshak supply lines, stretching far behind the main fleet. With clever maneuvers, they sabotaged the energy conduits that powered smaller warships, causing confusion and chaos. The Vorshak could not anticipate these attacks. They had only studied human behavior from centuries of peace, expecting obedience, fear, and submission. Instead, they faced creativity, courage, and intelligence. On the flagship, the commander banged his clawed fist against the console. "They are not weak," he admitted silently, almost in disbelief. "They fight differently than all others. They are unpredictable." His subordinates watched in silence. The humans' hidden strength was becoming obvious, and the Vorshak had underestimated them completely. By dawn, the first real human counterattack had ended, and Earth was still standing. The cost had been high, small losses of ships, scattered civilian damage, but the point had been proven. Humans had been forced into war, but they had not run. They had survived. And more importantly, they had learned. Ryan Holt looked at the data flowing in from reconnaissance drones. His eyes, old yet sharp, saw patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. He knew the Vorshak had made a grave mistake. Earth would fight not just to survive, but to teach the galaxy that peace does not equal weakness. Humans had chosen peace. But when the enemy forced their hand, the hidden strength of humanity revealed itself. And the galaxy would remember that moment. The first time Earth refused to bend, refused to surrender, and refused to be underestimated. The sky above Earth burned red as the Vorshak fleet moved closer. Their massive warships blocked sunlight, casting shadows across continents. People stared upward in disbelief and fear, but underground, the humans prepared for their first true strike. This was no small reconnaissance mission. This was the moment Earth would fight back. Captain Mara Solis led a squadron of stealth fighters toward the Vorshak flagship. Each pilot knew the risks. One wrong move, and they would vanish without a trace. Mara gripped the controls tightly, her knuckles white. "Stay focused. Follow the plan. We move fast, strike hard, and vanish," she said. Her voice was calm, betraying none of the fear her heart felt. Around her, the squadron hummed with quiet energy, cloaking fields shimmering faintly, hiding them from alien sensors. The Vorshak flagship loomed larger with every passing moment. Its surface was like living metal, pulsing with red light. Mara studied it carefully, noting the gaps in its armor, the weak points revealed by centuries-old data Ryan Holt had found. The humans had not gone into this blind. Every ship, every pilot, every drone had been trained for this day for months, even decades. They were not soldiers fighting for glory, they were humans fighting for survival. As they approached, Mara released the drones. Tiny, mechanical shadows, they latched onto the alien hull, transmitting critical data back to the human fleet. Sensors on the flagship scrambled, trying to detect the intruders. Red energy beams flashed across space, slicing through nothing but air as Mara's squadron moved with impossible speed, dodging and weaving through the deadly storm. The first strike was precise. Human pilots hit weapon systems, disabling energy cannons that could have destroyed entire cities. Inside the flagship, the Vorshak commander roared. "They are attacking. How is this possible?" His massive claws slammed against the console. He had expected fear, not precision. His ships had destroyed entire planets before, and humans were supposed to cower, to surrender. But here they were, fast, clever, unpredictable. He barked orders, but his subordinates were confused. Every human maneuver defied logic, slipping past sensors and striking exactly where it hurt most. Back on Earth, Ryan Holt monitored every move. "They're hitting exactly what we need. Keep pressure on. Pull back only when I say." he instructed. His voice carried calm authority, decades of experience guiding every decision. He knew humans could not match Vorshak numbers in open space, but they could outsmart them, strike unpredictably, and retreat before the enemy adapted. Strategy, patience, and intelligence, this was humanity's advantage. Mara's squadron executed a perfect rotation. One fighter drew the enemy's attention while the others struck weak points in the flagship's shields. Explosions rippled across the alien vessel's surface. The Vorshak did not anticipate these small, precise strikes. They expected frontal assaults, not clever, surgical attacks from hidden shadows. Every hit the humans made created confusion and fear in the alien ranks. Then, disaster almost struck. One of Mara's teammates was caught in a gravity wave from the flagship, spinning wildly through space. Mara dove without hesitation, matching the chaotic movement of her comrade's fighter. With a perfectly timed maneuver, she grabbed the edge of his ship with magnetic clamps and pulled him back into formation. The squadron recovered, adrenaline surging, hearts racing, but they did not hesitate. Their mission had only just begun. On Earth, civilians watched the sky, unaware of the details of the strike but sensing the shift. Red beams flickered across space, then disappeared. Smoke trails of human fighters darted between stars. It was the first sign that Earth was not just defending, it was fighting back. Even in fear, hope sparked. Humanity had chosen peace for centuries, but now, under fire, they showed their true nature. Clever, brave, and unstoppable when cornered. The first strike ended with the humans retreating behind a moon for cover. Sensors recorded minimal losses, but maximum damage to the Vorshak flagship. Mara's squadron communicated silently, returning to hidden orbit as drones continued to relay real-time data. "We've shown them," Mara said quietly. "We are not afraid." Inside the flagship, the Vorshak commander slammed a clawed fist against a console. "Humans, they should be weak. But they fight like predators. They adapt, they survive. And they will never surrender." Rage and fear mixed in his alien mind, a dangerous combination. He had underestimated humans, and that mistake would cost his fleet dearly. Back on Earth, Ryan Holt allowed himself a rare smile. The first counterattack was a success. Humans had struck first, taught the enemy to respect them, and learned the Vorshak's weaknesses. This was not the end, it was only the beginning. But for the first time in 200 years, the galaxy would witness what humans could do when forced to fight. Earth had chosen peace. But when the enemy forced their hand, humanity responded with precision, courage, and intelligence. The battle had begun, and humans were ready. The first human counterattack had shaken the Vorshak fleet more than they expected. Inside the massive flagship, the commander studied the damage reports in disbelief. His systems, designed to detect threats far in advance, had failed to predict the humans' precision and cunning. He pounded his claws on the control console. "They should be weak. They should run." His voice echoed through the metallic halls, but even his subordinates avoided eye contact. One of the Vorshak scientists approached cautiously. "Commander, we have intercepted historical data from human archives. They are not like the others. They adapt. They learn. They anticipate. They have fought wars before they chose peace." The commander's eyes narrowed, glowing silver. "Explain," he demanded. "They predicted strategies that would take centuries for other species to calculate. Their unity, their intelligence, even their restraint is a weapon. They do not surrender. Even in peace, they prepare for conflict. Perhaps that is why they survive." The commander growled, a sound like rolling thunder. He had studied humans before, long ago. He had expected fear, hesitation, weakness. Instead, he found something terrifying, a species that waited, learned, and, when forced, became unstoppable. In secret chambers beneath Earth, Admiral Ryan Holt studied the Vorshak data captured by Mara's squadron. Humans had learned the enemy's energy patterns, weapon weaknesses, and fleet formations. It was as if every strike, every retreat, had been part of a larger plan. Holt smiled faintly. "They underestimated us," he murmured. "They believed peace made us weak. They do not understand humans. We survive. We adapt. And when pushed, we fight back harder than anyone expects." Back on the Vorshak flagship, a council of advisors gathered around the commander. "We have visions from our prophet," one said. "They have foreseen the humans' potential. One day, humans could destroy the Vorshak Empire. That is why we attacked first, to prevent it." The commander's eyes widened. "Prevent it," he whispered. "We attacked because we feared what they could become. But now, they are already showing it." Rage and fear mixed in the alien leader's mind. Across Earth, humans prepared for the next phase of the war. The first attack had been successful, but they knew it was only the beginning. The Vorshak were strong, and their numbers were immense. Yet humans had something the Vorshak could not measure: creativity, courage, and unity. From underground bunkers, secret fleets launched into orbit. From oceans and mountains, hidden weapons rose. Every human was a soldier in the fight, every mind a strategist. They were not just defending, they were teaching the enemy a lesson. Captain Mara Solis led her team back into the shadows of space. They reviewed the data from the flagship strike. Weak points had been identified, energy conduits damaged, and the Vorshak's response patterns analyzed. Mara's mind raced with possibilities. "We hit them where it hurts most," she said, her voice steady. "But they will adapt quickly. We must be faster, smarter, more unpredictable." Her squadron nodded, understanding that survival depended on courage and wit, not just firepower. The Vorshak commander realized that humans were unlike any enemy he had faced. They did not panic, they did not retreat in fear, and they did not surrender. Even centuries of peace had not weakened them, it had sharpened their patience, strengthened their strategy, and made their return to battle sudden and deadly. The Vorshak had underestimated humans, and in doing so, they had unleashed a force they could not easily control. In one quiet room on Earth, Ryan Holt addressed the council. "We have learned the truth about our enemy. They fear us, not our weapons, but our potential. They attacked because they thought it would be easy. They were wrong. Now, we know how to fight them, and we will do it with every advantage we have." The council members felt a mix of fear and determination. The truth was clear: the Vorshak were powerful, but humans were clever, united, and ready. As night fell across the planet, humanity's resolve strengthened. The first strike had revealed a terrifying truth about the enemy, but it had also revealed something about themselves. They were not weak. They were not helpless. They had chosen peace, yes, but they would fight with every ounce of courage when forced. And the galaxy, the Vorshak, and every observer beyond the stars would soon learn a simple truth: humans may not start wars, but when pushed, they do not lose. The morning sky over Earth burned crimson as the Vorshak fleet fully entered orbit. Their massive warships blocked sunlight, casting long shadows across cities, mountains, and oceans. Red energy beams arced through space, slicing through satellites and scattering debris. Humanity had survived the first attacks, but now the true battle began, one they could not escape. Underground, Admiral Ryan Holt moved like a shadow among the humming vessels of the Defender Protocol. Ships that had slept for centuries were now fully awake, their engines glowing faintly with power. Engineers, scientists, and retired soldiers worked together, coordinating movements across the globe. Every pilot knew the mission: protect the planet, hit the enemy hard, and learn their weaknesses. The human fleet was outnumbered, but strategy, courage, and unity gave them an edge the Vorshak did not expect. Captain Mara Solis led her squadron into orbit. Their stealth systems flickered as the Vorshak scanned for movement. Red energy beams cut across the void, missing by inches as Mara guided her fighters with precision. Her squadron struck small, precise attacks at the Vorshak supply vessels, causing confusion and delay. Every human move was deliberate, every maneuver designed to keep the enemy guessing. The Vorshak had expected panic, they had not expected strategy. Above Earth, the Vorshak flagship launched its first major assault. Energy lances cut through the atmosphere, aiming at major cities. But humans were ready. Massive shields, hidden for centuries beneath oceans and mountains, activated in unison. Cities glowed with protective energy as civilians watched in awe and fear. The Vorshak attacks bounced harmlessly off shields, leaving humans stunned by both terror and relief. Their planet was alive with human ingenuity, defending itself in ways the Vorshak could not anticipate. Mara's squadron maneuvered around the flagship, releasing drones that latched onto armor plates. Explosions rippled across the Vorshak surface as humans disabled weapons and sensors. The flagship tried to adapt, firing massive energy beams at random points, but human pilots danced through the chaos with unmatched speed. It was not just fighting, it was art, strategy, and survival all at once. Meanwhile, deep beneath Earth, Ryan Holt monitored the entire battle. "Deploy the next phase," he commanded. From hidden underground hangars, massive strike ships launched into orbit, rising from the oceans and mountains. They moved in formation, surrounding Vorshak vessels, cutting off retreat paths, and targeting critical points discovered by Mara's team. The humans had prepared for this moment for centuries. Every weapon, every pilot, every plan was coming together now. The Vorshak commander grew enraged. "They are too clever. They adapt too fast," he roared. He ordered all smaller ships to swarm humans in attack patterns designed to overwhelm. But humans anticipated the moves. Traps and ambushes awaited every swarm. Red energy beams from the Vorshak sliced through empty space as human ships vanished into shadows, only to strike from unexpected angles. On the ground, civilians cheered as they saw glimpses of the battle in the sky. Energy shields flared, small craft darted across orbit, and explosions painted the heavens in red and gold. It was a terrifying spectacle, but hope burned brighter than fear. Humans fought not for conquest, they fought for survival, for family, for planet, and for the truth that peace did not mean weakness. Mara's squadron finally targeted the Vorshak flagship's core. Using the data gathered in previous attacks, they struck the vessel at multiple points simultaneously. Massive explosions erupted, shaking the hull like thunder. The flagship staggered, systems failing, shields flickering. The Vorshak commander screamed in fury, realizing too late that humans had predicted his moves, exploited weaknesses, and struck where it hurt most. Even as chaos engulfed the flagship, Ryan Holt coordinated counterattacks across the entire fleet. Humans pushed the Vorshak back from Earth's orbit, damaging enough ships to force a temporary retreat. But the battle was not over. Every human knew it would continue, and each knew that victory required courage, unity, and intelligence. By nightfall, Earth still stood. Cities were scarred, satellites destroyed, but humans had proven something the galaxy would never forget. When forced into battle, humanity fights with strategy, bravery, and unity unlike any other species. They had chosen peace, but when pressed, they became unstoppable. From the shadows of orbit, the Vorshak commander realized a horrifying truth. Humans had not only survived, they had adapted, learned, and struck with deadly precision. They were no longer a peaceful species to underestimate. Earth had chosen peace, yes, but the galaxy would now remember what happens when humans are forced into war. The final day of the battle arrived like a storm. The Vorshak fleet, though damaged, regrouped and prepared for one last strike. Massive ships formed a crimson wall in orbit, ready to crush Earth completely. Below, cities braced for impact, civilians huddled in bunkers, and underground command centers buzzed with urgency. Admiral Ryan Holt moved among his commanders with calm authority. The human fleet was ready. They had learned from every previous attack, studied every pattern, and prepared for the final moment. Captain Mara Solis led her squadron toward the Vorshak flagship. Their stealth systems flickered like shadows across the red-lit sky. Every pilot knew the risk. Failure meant annihilation. But they did not hesitate. Humans had chosen peace for centuries, but now, when forced into war, they showed a courage the galaxy had forgotten. Mara's squadron struck with precision, targeting the vessel's critical systems. Explosions rippled across the alien hull, and the ship staggered as humans exploited every weakness discovered in previous encounters. Meanwhile, Ryan Holt coordinated the larger attack. Hidden fleets emerged from oceans, mountains, and deep underground hangars. Massive strike ships deployed simultaneously, surrounding the Vorshak vessels. Energy shields flared across Earth cities, protecting civilians while human weapons struck the enemy relentlessly. Every human, from the youngest pilot to the oldest strategist, moved in perfect unison. They were not fighting for conquest, they were fighting for survival, for their planet, and for the truth that peace did not mean weakness. Inside the flagship, the Vorshak commander realized the humans had predicted his every move. His massive claws slammed against the console in frustration. They fight differently. They adapt. They survive. No surrender, he growled. Panic spread among his subordinates. The humans' tactics were unpredictable, their attacks surgical and coordinated. For centuries, the Vorshak had believed power meant fear, but humans wielded intelligence, unity, and courage as weapons stronger than any fleet. Mara's squadron breached the core of the flagship. They released drones that disabled the alien AI controlling the vessel. Red lights flickered and dimmed. Explosions tore through the flagship as humans struck at the heart of the enemy. The massive ship shuddered and then began to break apart, unable to sustain the precision and strength of the human assault. One by one, the smaller Vorshak ships fell into disarray, retreating from the relentless human counterattack. On Earth, the people watched the night sky glow with red and gold flashes. Fear turned into awe, then into hope. Humans had not only survived, they had fought back, adapted, and won against an enemy thought unstoppable. Across the planet, cheers erupted, not for destruction, but for survival, for courage, and for the reminder that when forced, humans do not yield. The Vorshak commander, realizing his defeat, tried one final desperate maneuver. But it was too late. Mara's squadron, guided by strategy and intelligence, disabled his last defenses. The massive flagship broke apart, drifting silently into space. The remaining Vorshak vessels retreated, leaving Earth victorious, battered but unbroken. Admiral Ryan Holt allowed himself a rare smile as he looked at the planet. Humanity had chosen peace for centuries, hoping that the galaxy would respect it. But when forced into war, they had shown what Earth had always been capable of: cunning, unity, courage, and relentless determination. Humans had survived where others might have fallen. They had won without surrendering, proving that peace did not equal weakness. Mara Solis stood at the edge of her ship, looking out over the shattered but free skies. She thought of everyone who had fought and of every life preserved by courage and strategy. "We did not start this war," she whispered. "But when forced, we do not lose." The galaxy would remember Earth, not as a planet that had chosen peace blindly, but as a world that, when cornered, became unstoppable. Humans had shown their true strength. They had been patient, clever, and united. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. The story of Earth's resilience would echo across the stars, a lesson for all who dared to underestimate humanity. And so, the battle ended. The galaxy was forever changed. Earth remained a beacon of life, a testament to the truth that humans fight not for war, but for survival, and when survival demands it, they fight like no other species in the universe. Peace may have been their choice, but strength was always their nature.